Welcome to English Learning Oasis. In this video, we present The Secret Tunnel, an exciting story designed to help you improve your English skills. Perfect for beginners and anyone looking to enhance their English listening, comprehension, and vocabulary. This tale will take you on an unforgettable adventure. The Secret Tunnel. On the outskirts of the quaint town of Eldridge, nestled in the heart of a dense, ancient forest, stood the grand old mansion known as Ravenswood Manor. The manor, with its Gothic spires and ivy-clad walls, had long been the subject of local legends and ghost stories. For decades it had been abandoned, its halls silent and its gardens overgrown. But that changed when the Aldrich family moved in. The Aldriches were a family of four. Robert, a historian with a fascination for old buildings. His wife Elizabeth, an artist drawn to the manor's picturesque decay. And their two children, Emily and Jack. Emily, at 16, was an adventurous spirit with a passion for exploration. Jack, 12, was curious and imaginative, often dreaming up fantastical stories about the places they visited. One summer afternoon, while their parents were busy unpacking, Emily and Jack decided to explore the grounds. They wandered through the neglected gardens, marveling at the wildflowers and ancient trees. It was Emily who first noticed the old stone well, half hidden by a tangle of vines and moss. Intrigued, she called Jack over. "Look at this, Jack," she said, brushing away the vines. "I wonder how old it is." Jack peered into the well, his eyes wide with excitement. "Do you think there's treasure down there?" he asked, his voice filled with wonder. Emily laughed. "Maybe. Or maybe it's just an old well. Let's see if we can find a way to get inside." They spent the next hour searching for an entrance, but the well seemed to be sealed tight. Just as they were about to give up, Jack noticed a faint outline of a door in the stone wall nearby. With a bit of effort, they managed to push it open, revealing a narrow, winding staircase that descended into darkness. As they cautiously made their way down the stairs, the air grew cooler and damper. Their footsteps echoed off the stone walls, and the only light came from the small flashlight Emily had brought with her. At the bottom of the staircase, they found themselves in a large, dimly lit chamber. The walls were lined with shelves filled with dusty books and strange artifacts. "This must have been some sort of secret study," Emily whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "Look at all this stuff." Jack picked up an old, leather-bound book and blew off the dust. "Do you think anyone knows about this place?" he asked, flipping through the pages. "I doubt it," Emily replied. "It looks like it's been untouched for years." As they explored the chamber, they discovered a large, ornate desk covered in papers and maps. Emily picked up one of the maps and studied it closely. "This looks like a map of the manor," she said, pointing to a series of tunnels and rooms beneath the building. "I wonder if there's more to this place than we thought." Just as they were about to leave, Jack noticed a small metal box tucked away in a corner. He opened it to find a collection of old, yellowed letters. These must be really old, he said, handing them to Emily. Emily carefully unfolded one of the letters and began to read. Dear Elizabeth, she read aloud. I hope this letter finds you well. I have discovered something extraordinary beneath Ravenswood Manor, a secret tunnel that leads to a hidden chamber. I believe it may hold the key to a great treasure. Emily and Jack exchanged excited glances. A secret tunnel, Jack said, his voice trembling with excitement. We have to find it. They spent the next few days poring over the map and the letters, trying to piece together the clues. Finally, they pinpointed the location of the entrance to the tunnel, a hidden door in the basement of the manor. Late one night, after their parents had gone to bed, Emily and Jack snuck down to the basement. They searched the walls until they found the hidden door, just as the map had indicated. With a bit of effort, they managed to pry it open, revealing a dark, narrow passageway. This is it, Emily whispered, her heart pounding with excitement. The secret tunnel. They stepped into the tunnel, their flashlight casting eerie shadows on the walls. The air was cool and musty, and the sound of dripping water echoed in the distance. They followed the tunnel for what seemed like hours, twisting and turning through the darkness. Finally, they reached a large, ornate door. Emily pushed it open, and they found themselves in a grand, cavernous chamber. The walls were lined with gold and jewels, and in the center of the room stood a massive, ancient chest. Jack ran over to the chest and tried to open it, but it was locked tight. We need a key, he said, frustrated. Emily held up one of the letters they had found. I think I know where it is, she said, pointing to a passage in the letter. The key is hidden in the library, behind a portrait of the first owner of the manor. They raced back to the manor and into the library. Sure enough, behind a large, dusty portrait, they found a small, ornate key. They rushed back to the chamber and unlocked the chest. Inside, they found a treasure beyond their wildest dreams: gold, jewels, and ancient artifacts. As they stood there marveling at their discovery, they heard a noise behind them. They turned to see their parents standing in the doorway, their faces a mix of surprise and amazement. We followed you, Robert said, his voice filled with pride. We had no idea this place existed. Elizabeth smiled. You've made an incredible discovery, she said. But remember, this treasure belongs to the manor. It's a part of its history. Emily and Jack nodded, understanding the importance of preserving the past. They spent the next few months working with their parents to document their findings and share the story of Ravenswood Manor with the world. The secret tunnel had led them to a treasure far greater than gold, a deeper connection to their new home and its rich history. And as they stood together in the grand chamber, they knew that the adventure was only just beginning. As the Aldrich family settled into life at Ravenswood Manor, the excitement of their discovery fueled their days. Robert, with his historian's eye, meticulously catalogued each artifact, often losing himself for hours in the stories they told. Elizabeth, inspired by the manor's hidden history, created a series of paintings depicting the legends of the tunnel, the treasures, and the ancient order that had once guarded them. Emily and Jack continued to explore the vast network of tunnels and chambers beneath the manor, always accompanied by their parents after the initial discovery. The labyrinthine passages seemed endless, each turn revealing new secrets. They found ancient weapons, ornate jewelry, and relics from bygone eras, each piece adding another layer to the manor's rich tapestry of history. One day, while exploring a particularly narrow tunnel, they stumbled upon a smaller, more secluded chamber. The air was thick with the scent of aged parchment and candle wax. In the center of the room stood a simple wooden table, upon which lay an intricately carved box. Unlike the other treasures they had found, this box had no lock or key. Instead, it bore a series of symbols and runes that glowed faintly in the dim light. Robert examined the box closely, recognizing some of the symbols from the ancient manuscripts he had been studying. "These are runes of protection," he said, tracing the patterns with his fingers. "Whoever built this box wanted to keep its contents safe." With careful hands, Emily lifted the lid. Inside, they found a collection of scrolls, each one written in the same ancient script that had filled the book they first discovered. Among the scrolls was a single, perfectly preserved letter, written in elegant, flowing handwriting. Emily unrolled the letter and began to read aloud. "To those who find this letter, know that you have uncovered a secret that has been guarded for centuries. The power of the crystal is both a gift and a curse. It has the ability to heal, to create, and to destroy. Use it wisely, for it can corrupt those who seek to wield it for their own gain." The family exchanged uneasy glances. They had heard the guardian's warning, but seeing it written out so plainly brought a new level of gravity to their discovery. Days turned into weeks as the Aldridges delved deeper into the manor's mysteries. They uncovered the history of the ancient order, learning that it was made up of scholars, warriors, and mystics who had dedicated their lives to protecting the crystal. The order had been founded by a man named Alaric, a powerful sorcerer who had discovered the crystal and understood its potential for both good and evil. As they pieced together Alaric's story, they realized that the order had not only protected the crystal, but had also used it to perform great acts of magic. They found records of healings, the creation of enchanted artifacts, and even the occasional vanquishing of dark forces that had threatened the land. However, the records also hinted at a darker side, mentioning members who had succumbed to the crystal's power, using it for their own selfish purposes and ultimately bringing about their own downfall. One evening, while reading through one of Alaric's personal journals, Robert found a passage that caught his eye. Alaric mentions a prophecy, he said, his voice filled with curiosity. He believed that one day a worthy guardian would arise, someone pure of heart and strong of will, who could harness the crystal's power without falling into darkness. Emily listened intently, her mind racing. She remembered the test she had faced and the Guardian's words. Could she be the one Alaric had foreseen? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. As summer turned to autumn, the Aldridges continued their work. Elizabeth's paintings began to attract attention, drawing visitors to the manor who were eager to learn about its history. The once abandoned house was slowly coming back to life, its halls filled with the sounds of laughter and discovery. One chilly October morning, as the family gathered for breakfast, they were interrupted by a knock at the door. Standing on the doorstep was an elderly man, his eyes bright with wisdom and a hint of mischief. He introduced himself as Professor Thaddeus Gray, a historian and former member of a secret society dedicated to preserving the world's magical heritage. I've heard about your discoveries, Professor Gray said, his voice rich with excitement, and I believe I can help you understand them better. The Aldridges welcomed him into their home, eager to hear what he had to say. Over the next few weeks, Professor Gray shared his extensive knowledge of the ancient order and its practices. He confirmed that the crystal was indeed a powerful artifact, one that had been sought after by many throughout history. He also spoke of the dangers it posed, echoing the warnings they had already encountered. One evening, as they sat around the fireplace, Professor Gray turned to Emily. I understand you faced the test of the crystal and emerged victorious, he said, his eyes twinkling with admiration. That is no small feat. It means you possess a rare strength of character. With Professor Gray's guidance, the Aldridges began to learn how to harness the crystal's power. They practiced simple spells and enchantments, always mindful of the potential consequences. Emily, in particular, showed a natural talent for magic, her confidence growing with each new lesson. One day, as they were practicing in the grand chamber, they heard a loud crash from above. Rushing to the surface, they found a group of strangers attempting to force their way into the manor. The intruders were led by a man named Victor Blackwood, a rogue sorcerer who had long coveted the crystal's power. You've made a grave mistake, Aldridges, Blackwood sneered, his eyes gleaming with malice. That crystal belongs to me. Robert stood protectively in front of his family. This is our home, he said firmly. You have no right to be here. Blackwood laughed. Rights are for the weak. Power belongs to those who can seize it. With a wave of his hand, Blackwood unleashed a bolt of dark energy, knocking Robert to the ground. Elizabeth and the children rushed to his side, fear and anger coursing through them. Emily stepped forward, her hands glowing with a soft, white light. Leave us alone, she said, her voice steady and filled with determination. Blackwood sneered. And what are you going to do, little girl? You think you can stop me? Drawing on the power of the crystal, Emily summoned a protective barrier around her family. The light from her hands intensified, pushing back against Blackwood's dark magic. The two forces clashed, filling the air with a blinding, crackling energy. Professor Gray stepped forward, his voice calm and commanding. Victor, this is not the way. The crystal's power is not meant for destruction. Blackwood snarled. You're a fool, Thaddeus. Power is all that matters. As the battle raged on, Emily felt the crystal's energy flowing through her, guiding her actions. She focused on her love for her family, her desire to protect them, and her determination to use the crystal's power for good. Slowly but surely, she began to gain the upper hand. With a final, desperate surge of energy, Emily unleashed a powerful blast of light, sending Blackwood and his followers fleeing into the night. The barrier dissipated, and Emily collapsed to the ground, exhausted but triumphant. Robert and Elizabeth rushed to her side, their faces filled with pride and relief. You did it, Emily, Robert said, his voice choked with emotion. You protected us. Emily smiled weakly, her heart filled with a sense of accomplishment. I couldn't have done it without all of you, she said, her voice barely a whisper. In the days that followed, the Eldridges worked to repair the damage to the manor and strengthen their defenses. Professor Gray stayed on, helping them to master the crystal's power and teaching them how to protect it from those who would seek to misuse it. As the first snowfall of winter blanketed Ravenswood Manor, the Aldrich family gathered in the grand chamber, their bond stronger than ever. The crystal, once a symbol of danger and uncertainty, had become a source of hope and unity. They knew that their journey was far from over, but they faced the future with confidence, knowing that they were the guardians of a great and powerful legacy. And so, Ravenswood Manor, with its secret tunnels and hidden treasures, became a beacon of light in the heart of the ancient forest. The Aldrich family, guided by their love for each other and their commitment to protecting the past, continued to uncover the manor's secrets and share its stories with the world. They understood that the true treasure was not the gold or jewels they had found, but the strength and courage they had discovered within themselves.